All right, Florida State football fans, this has become your time. It's Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and we know we've got baseball coming, but we have this perfectly timed, and I will set you up on that in just a second. If you are coming across us for the very first time on a Wednesday night, welcome to Florida State Seminoles Live. We go live each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, talking nothing but Florida State football for about 45 or 50 minutes. And we are obviously getting you set for 2019 with ACC Media Days just about a month away. And then the boys will obviously be in camp right after that, the first week of August. We got Jason Parker on the line from Chop Chat. Jason, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, sir. Thank you for talking to ESPN and getting them to move first pitch till after this. We appreciate that here in Tallahassee and all of the state of Florida. We appreciate that.
The last 3 weeks, meaning the first 3 weeks of this show, we have gone about exactly 50 minutes each time, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time. I see first pitch is slated for 7:50 in Omaha for Florida State baseball. So yes, it just worked perfectly. So we will lead you right into the first pitch of baseball. You don't need to see all that pregame business. And I will make no other comments about ESPN's pregame because that's not healthy for me. All right, Jason, how you doing tonight? We already covered that. You're all set. You're ready for baseball, and we're going to talk football here. We are solely football, but of course we will make a mention or two if it's that big, and certainly it is with the college baseball, like it would be with like an NCAA tournament situation with the men's basketball team. So are you feeling good about the chances on the baseball side?
I mean, I'm going to tell you, yeah, I'm feeling confident, but I'm nervous as hell. So let's focus on football. We're going to focus on football for the next 45 minutes, and then we can worry about baseball after that. Let's focus on football.
And of course, Jason, we're going to focus on the most important aspect of football, and that's the uniforms, because that's why you win or lose. Apparently, that has a huge role. Who cares who the coach is, who you're going to start at quarterback, the strength and conditioning program. There's a number of other things that apparently need to take a back seat to logo and uniform design and choice. What are we hearing recently about Florida State football and the demise from the elite status of a national championship in college football playoff appearance in 2013 and 14 to the current 5-7 state, and who knows what lies ahead in 2019?
There's a segment of the FSU Twitter fan base, if you will, the social media fan base, that has for the last 5 years been very adamant ever since the logo change, logo modification, if you will, the home uniform switching from white numbers to gold numbers. There's a certain segment that wants you to switch back to the white numbers. I mean, frankly, we've all been around football enough. I get that it's summer. I get that it's boring. To anyone who thinks that the color of the number on the Guardian uniform has anything to do with what's happened to the team in the last couple of seasons, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's just calm down on that one. So that's the one thing. I had FSU Twitter come at me when I posted something a couple of weeks ago. So I'm just going to fall back and say, calm down. It has nothing to do with uniform number, color. Just let's calm that down real quick.
Jason, we've been talking for a few months, so our working relationship doesn't go back to last football season, but I'm sure you can imagine how much football I watch, and I can imagine how much football you watch. So unless family commitments take me away, I'm watching as much football as I possibly can, basically, is what I am doing between Thursday and Sunday, and particularly on Saturday between noon and about 2 o'clock in the morning when those West Coast games finally wrap up. And so I watch a lot of Florida State football. I am not a Florida State fan. I don't watch every game. I don't watch the Jacksonville State game and the like.
You should. You should.
Yeah, and I probably should. I need to commit that to putting that in front of maybe a Georgia Auburn game or a Clemson Florida NC State game, or pick your choice, Wisconsin, Michigan State. So some of those lesser games in conference play for whatever. Right. What was it last year? Northern Illinois was one of the non-conference games. Yes, those definitely need to take priority. I will get my priorities straight next year, Jason. But I watch Florida State probably play 7 or 8 times in a typical year, and you had to tell me that the uniform slightly changed between 2013 and then 2014. That's when the change was made?
It was when they switched after the national title season in 2013. In April of 2014, they kind of modified the logo. It's weird. I say this as a graduate of the school. I'm going to support them no matter what. The logo change, color, uniform, number, color, whatever. You stick with Florida State. If you're a fan of the Seminoles, if you're a fan of Florida State football, if you're a fan of the school as a whole, you stick with whatever. That's all I'm going to say on it. I'm just going to leave it at that right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of making the point there that I watch a whole lot of football and I track these teams about as best as I possibly can. And it's got to be a pretty standard modification. When you're talking about trims on sleeves and so forth, I'm not going to catch that. I sometimes get scolded by my son. He will, well, Dad, come on. They haven't worn those since 2014, or they haven't had the gold trim or the gray, around the lettering since, it's 2016 or whatever. I get scolded for that. Yeah, I don't notice those sorts of things.
Anyone who truly believes that the color of the number on the garnet uniform is the reason that Florida State went 5-7 last year. If you believe that, then you have issues you need to work on. We'll just leave it at that.
On the topic, though, of alternate uniforms that became popular, I think the NFL made the first step in introducing the retro uniform. So you would see the Green Bay Packers come out, or the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1920s or 30s regalia. And that was fun for a lot of fans to see. And I thought maybe it was taken to an extreme, and we saw it way too much for 5 or 6 years. But on occasion, it's fine. And then college football started to come up with the alternate uniforms, led by the Oregon statement that they made, and it kind of marked their arrival on the scene as a national power and being a new national power, and kind of the new school look of having 1,000 looks. And I don't even think I'm exaggerating, but do you like I know Alabama, USC come to mind, Penn State comes to mind as having never gone the alternate uniform route. Even the likes of Ohio State and Oklahoma and Michigan, just staunch football traditions, have even taken the alternate uniform route. Do you care? Do you not like it? Do you like to see a change up once in a while?
I would love to see once in a while. And I'm a purist as far as with our current uniforms, the helmet, the spear on the helmet, the gold helmet, garnet face mask, the old school, the spear. That to me is what I like. I was not a big fan of the garnet helmets. The black uniforms last year they wore for the Virginia Tech game, not a huge fan, but once again, like I said, I'm going to support my alma mater no matter what. What I would love to see is a throwback game with the uniforms from like the late 60s and early 70s, the one that they used to have. They used to have the state of Florida on the helmet. Just do a throwback game, honoring, 1968 Peach Bowl team, 71 PS Bowl team, stuff like that. Back in the day, the pre-Bowden era. I'd like to see them do that once in a while, but for the most part, I'm a purist with sticking with the traditional, gold helmets, garnet jerseys, gold pants. It's been voted the best uniform before for a reason. It's the best out there.
Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, everyone.
I am late to the party. We've had a lot of technical difficulties with Wi-Fi and everything all throughout the day, but I think Wi-Fi is going to stay on for right now, and I couldn't leave Jason here by himself after what we had to get through last week.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Logan. Good looking out on that one.
Yes. Again, I see you got the baseball jersey on, so I like that.
And the hat. We got the rally hat on.
Yes, perfect.
And Jason was extolling me for my perfect timing that lines up perfectly with ESPN's television schedule for Florida State baseball in the College World Series.
Yes, I know. I just saw right whenever internet came through that I guess it got postponed to 7:50. So we are on the good side now.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up at 7:50 and lead everybody right into the first pitch. You guys will be all set. That
sounds good to me. Perfect. And I know you are talking about uniforms.
Yeah, what do they mean to you?
I'm younger, so I didn't get to see all the great throwback ones. And we post a lot about uniform stuff on our site just because it's a good conversation. Starter definitely during the off season. A lot of fans. I didn't really have a problem with the new uniforms with the gold numbers. I mean, do I like the white numbers inside of them? Yes, I do like that, but I'm not big against it. Do I think it looks a little bit like Boston College? Of course, it looks very close and similar. But I've never had a huge problem with it. I think you just get your wins and you can do whatever you want to the uniforms. But I do think changing, I think it's also the way that it happened. It came kind of out of nowhere, and Nike got their money in 2014 when they made the changes. And then it came along with the logo change too, which fans were absolutely ticked off, and that's very understandable. And a lot of local retailers expressed their opinions too on it, that have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years. So I think it consists of that logo change too, and it was just really bad timing. Nike got their money. Oregon has a new uniform every 10 minutes. Looks like they have a new combination every week. And Florida State's not really known for being that way. I know Willie Taggart talked about that he wanted to allow the players to have different combinations for games and whatnot. And it seems like he stayed rather traditional for rivalry games. I believe for the Florida game, they went all garnet. And for the Miami game, I believe they went traditional away, if I'm correct. And so it's an interesting topic, and and the boosters I know are really wanting to have the white numbers come through. And Florida State should have a contract coming up with Nike ending soon, which means that they'll be able to figure out if they want to make any changes during that time. And that should be coming up either this year or next. But it's such a huge conversation, and a lot of people don't even like it because Florida State went 5-7 last year, and they're like, well, let's focus on wins first, which is very understandable. So,
well, my comeback to that would be the fact that people were complaining and borderline whining and about the uniforms, even the year in 2014 when they went 13-1. So,
yeah,
argument. It's our current time of social media where everyone. And it's something we thrive on with our jobs, but let's call it what it is. It's social media and everyone voicing their opinion, and there's a segment of the population that won't stop until the white numbers are back.
Yeah, we have the official word on Oregon's latest uniform change that came down at 3:30 Eastern time. So that was 3.5 hours ago. So you're overstating the uniform change just a bit at every 30 minutes. It was actually 3.5 hours ago that Oregon made a uniform change, so they've slowed down it. I would like to get to the live chat for you guys because there's a few comments made here pertaining to our subject matter. You guys are going to need to put up with a few other fan bases. We've got Miami represented here. We got Florida. We got LSU in particular, but Rob Kraus wants to talk some uniforms as well. Before I get to Rob, I don't want to forget Jordan Davis. Thank you so much for the contribution here at the Voice of College Football. Thank you so much for supporting us here. All right, Rob, uniform change and downfall can't be understated enough. Changes that need to be made. Number 1, white numbers. Number 2, cut down the shoulder caps to just bottom of shirt sleeves. Okay, wow, he's getting specific here. Number 3, put logo patch on both sides. This is a fashion designer.
Yes.
This is not Project Runway. This is college football, people. I get it, but come on. In the scheme of things, the way that our former leader, who's now out in College Station, the way he left the program, let's worry about that a little bit more than the logos on the oy vey.
I think I enjoy the uniform conversation for sure, and I definitely think they can be modified in a lot of ways, and the trim I think would be nice on the sleeves. I think the pants could be a little bit more shiny or gold. I was looking at a picture earlier of Charlie Ward in the 1993 national championship with Nebraska, and the gold pants that they used to have with the shining look on them, and those are those are very sexy. But it's the color but see, Nike, this is also big on Nike too, because they screwed up when Florida State first opened off with their helmets away in Dallas that looked absolutely stupid. They're the lightest gray. They're almost, gold, and they kind of like walls in here almost, and they had purple face masks. But then again, that's also got to be Florida State's fault in a lot of ways, because they were sent samples of it. So Nike's a lot to blame in this area too.
We've
So
spent 15 minutes talking about uniforms, people.
I know we have, but Rob just won't let it go, because he's going to finish maybe the conversation. Maybe we can leave it at this with the immortal Deion Sanders, who's arguably the greatest Seminole of all time, who says, "You look good, you play good."
That is
Apparently
true.
He said that. I can imagine him saying that, but according to Rob, he has said it. And Rob, you need to take part in this honor. It's a tradition here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is the first time I've seen your handle, so welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You're obviously a Florida State fan. I don't need to ask that. Would love to know how long you've been watching. All right, let's get to some real football talk. Although this isn't necessarily real football talk, but I've heard this mentioned during a lot of Florida State talk that I deliver with the help of both of you, of course. And it's mentioned here in the live chat as well. Is there anything to the statements that I've heard made that there's been some racism, or Willie Taggart's been the target of racism or racial slurs?
There was I don't want to misquote it, but there was a booster who, after the season, posted something on social media. Once again, idiots on social media. Let's just call it what it is. Idiots on social media. And he posted derogatory messages, and it got cleaned up really quickly. Yeah. It's one of the issues, obviously, when you have a minority coach, and there's a segment of the fan base that no matter what, we could have gone 13-0, won the ACC, been to the college football playoffs last year, and there's a certain segment of the FSU fan base, the FSU alumni base, that would never have given Willie Taggart credit because of him being African American. And that's the stupidest thing in the world to me. He didn't go 5-7 because he's black. We're not going to go 8-4, 9-3 this year because he's black either. He's a very good football coach, a very good man, an amazing person. If you ever get a chance to talk to him or be around him, it has nothing to do with race. And anyone who wants to denigrate him, attack him because of his race, you're stupid. And I'll say it, go root for the Gators. We don't need you in this fan base. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jason said it nice, and I'll just note on a little bit. This team is very close to Taggart. I believe only a few months in, they were talking about him. Players were as a father figure and someone that they liked being around. Taggart would bring players into his office all throughout the day to sit down with them, get to know them, what they want to do after college, how they're doing in classes, how's family stuff going. I haven't heard one bad thing about Taggart inside, and there's nothing that's just, like you said, idiots on social media that are just, there's certain words I wish I could say, but they're idiots, and that got shot down really, really quick, and this fan base did a good job of exposing that cat, and I know he was relieved of his job almost a couple days after, and it's just pathetic, and that's what will happen to you. You got exposed, and there's no place for that. It's friggin' college football. That's a friggin' sport. Some people are just have a mental problem, and that's what showed right there, and he got exposed for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to add anything to that. My sentiments are right in line with Jason and Logan in regards to people should be respected until they've done something not based on skin color, religious preference, sexual preference, whatever else, based on their character, based on their actions, to be treated in any way that is disrespectful. But otherwise, Yeah, it's just horrible that people are treated like that. And now because of social media, which brings us together on one level, also tears us apart on the other levels because people are cowards and they have a platform where they can be a coward and hide behind their phone or laptop and spew forth whatever demented uh, approach to life that they have. But hardwire to self-destruction, thank you so much for bringing that up. We aim to talk football on the field all the time, but obviously we will not shy away from these type of topics that need to be brought up if they're brought up out there in social media or in the news and there's a relevant story, or because some knucklehead goes off or a collection of people that go off, it becomes a story or becomes news, as is the case here. It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. This is our slot for Florida State football each and every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Thanks to you. We've had about 2,000 people watch the first 3 shows. This is show number 4. About 900 audio downloads in addition to the 2,000 video views. So let's keep it growing. Let Florida State fans, college football fans, because as we see right here, all sorts of other fan bases jump in on these team-specific shows. So let people know out there that we're here each and every Wednesday night. Jason Parker from Chop Chat. We got Logan Robinson on the line from Goal Name. Noel at Game Day. I did one of those letter swaps there at the beginning of each word, but it's Noel Game Day with Logan Robinson talking Florida State football. What position most intrigues you, Logan, heading into 2019?
I'm going to go with running back, honestly. I think everything else is kind of almost solidified in some areas, but I'm going to go with running back, and I'm going to tell you why. Cam Akers has kind of struggled a little bit in certain areas. I mean, not just in what kind of style the offense was last year, but just the way that he was cutting and slipping around and just doesn't seem like himself last year. We got a hint of Kalen LeBourne a little bit last year against Virginia Tech, and he had a SportsCenter top 10 play in one of his first plays ever as a Florida State football player. It gets interesting because I feel almost that LeBourne might fit a little bit better in this offense. I know that Kendall Briles is going to try to utilize him quite a bit this year, I would think. He's a very talented guy. I've heard some really good things about his recovery since his injury, which looked really nasty on TV. Luckily, it wasn't even any worse than that. But he's been running for months now, great shape. And I'm interested to see how Briles and Taggart will use him. And there's another guy, Anthony Grant, who is another stud, who these 3 have made Amir Rasul transfer from Florida State. Amir hasn't even announced where he's going yet. But these 3 are some very talented guys that could, if this offensive line can do some kind of decency last year and just be average, all you got to do is be average, and you got a quarterback that likes to throw quite a bit. You could see a nasty tandem of 3 guys. But I think something going into that Boise State game, I'm very intrigued to see how that running back position is being given out, because Cam Akers, as we know, is a stud running back, and Kalen LeBourne has a lot of potential, and I think he's just ready to be unleashed. So I'm interested to see what Jason says too.
I'll touch on Cam Akers for a moment, then I'll get to my position. I'm going to say right now that Cam Akers has the most to prove of any member of the 2019 Florida State Seminole football team.
Mm-hmm.
I get that the offensive line was god-awful. I spent most of the season bashing that group of players and have been doing it for 3 years because it's just been a downhill, just bomb with that unit. That being said, if you're Cam Akers, if you're arguably the top recruit, let's say conservatively top 5 recruits in the entire class of 2017, you need to be running for more than 700 yards in a season. He ran for 706. Excuse me. You need to run for more than 706 yards in a season. You need to be scoring more than 6 touchdowns, in an entire season. This is where this season's got to be about him. I don't think the offensive line is going to go from 0 to 100 real quick. Shout out to the Raptors for winning the championship. Sorry, Logan, on that one. Sorry, I apologize.
Thanks.
But this is where he has to prove that. for this point? Are you the Cam Akers, who was the 5-star recruit, one of the top recruits in the entire country? Or are you somebody who is going to be Cam Akers? Man, you had a great 1,000-yard freshman season, and then you just went downhill. So I'll say that about Cam. As far as what unit do I think am I the most intrigued at? Linebackers. And I'll say this for this reason right here. Logan, who are going to be the 3 starting linebackers for FSU football this season?
I know. Well, this is where it gets interesting. You can say one, Dontavius Jackson, and then you're like,
and then that's the point. And then you look at the defensive line. You look at up front. You've got Marvin Wilson. You've got Joshua Kando on the end. You've got guys up front. In the secondary, yes, the secondary played horrible, but you know who's going to be back there. You know the recruits who came in. We've talked about some of the members of Tribe 19, what they'll do this season in that group. Linebacker, to me, is going to be the biggest question mark as far as a unit, because it is the unknown. It is the one unit right now where you don't know who are the 3 starters. Now, could 3 guys come in along with Jackson and just ball out against Boise State and then over the course of the season? Absolutely. But that's going to be the big question, is who is going to be that group of linebackers. And with a group, FSU football group, and Mark, you and I are a little older than Logan, so we remember the days of, the Derek Brooks, the Marvin Jones, those guys back in the day. Linebacker has always been a stud position for Florida State football. Can they get back to that, or at least get in that direction starting in 2019?
I think also to note on the linebacker position, Florida State's also moved a pretty decent linebacker that produced pretty well last year, moved Leonard Warner down to defensive end, at least for the spring they did. So they're kind of risking it for a biscuit over here with some of their younger guys coming in, or not their most experienced guys that haven't played that much. So I do think that's definitely that position group is a good pick too. Definitely the biggest question mark for a position group.
The live chat here is starting to get revved up with a number of topics, and now that we brought up position groups, Rob Krause. Also, we've got Pell Games looking at the secondary. One of them believes the secondary is going to ball out. The other one's concerned because of the quarterback, wide receiver talent that you see at Clemson. Obviously, that's top shelf, but also at some other places on the schedule that the secondary is really going to have to be much better than it was in 2018.
The secondary is interesting too, because there's been a lot of switching around too. So Levante Taylor had a really rough time last year, which was a shock to a lot of us that covered FSU and fans. And he's been moved to free safety. I know he doesn't want to comment on it too much, but he's been moved to free safety. It's interesting to see if he'll be moved anymore after during the fall camp. Then you got a little bit of Jaden Woodby, who's moved to, I guess you would say, your strong safety, or come down as still as a linebacker, kind of like last year, nickel kind of situation. And those kind of 2 moves will be interesting to see. I think Stanford Samuels, of course, starts against Boise State. That's easy money there. I'm like we talked about a couple weeks ago, I want to keep my eyes on Asante Samuel Jr. I think he's got a lot of potential. His spring was very solid. He's coming off as a leader, physically, meaning making plays in front of teammates. And then, of course, I watched him be very talkative. He's a trash talker. I think that fits very well, bodes well for Florida State as a secondary, because we've seen them run through the last couple of years with having somebody with a big mouth, and it serves well for the defense usually. And then you got young guys coming in like Akeem Dent and Travis Jay. I think Travis Jay is something special. I know what I've already got in Akeem Dent, but I want to see how Travis Jay works on the college level, and I think he's got a situation where he could play very soon in his career at Florida State and have a very nice one. I think that Dent Jay tandem is going to be really dirty the next couple of years at Florida State. Highlight reels all over the place, big hits everywhere. What do you think, Jason?
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. The secondary can be, if they play up to their potential, the secondary can arguably be the best in the ACC and one of the best in the country. They have if you just look at pure athleticism of those guys that you mentioned, yes, athletically they are among the best group in the country. That's where the Boise State game, with Boise State with their passing game, if that unit gets torched, it's going to be an interesting season. If they can hold their own, and I'm not saying they have to hold Boise to 100 yards passing in the game, but if they hold Boise to, let's say, under 300 yards passing, I will take that as a victory right now. That to me is, I think you have to work with those goals right there. If it's just that modest start, good start right there, and then work your way from that point, I think that unit can be arguably the best in the ACC, and I'd say top 10 in the country if they play up to their potential.
I want to note a little bit too before we move on. During the spring, I was told that Barnett was focused more on the defensive back side of things, or at least during practices, that he had a CU role. I guess you could see on the defensive side, he's a defensive coordinator, but it seemed like he was given a lot more attention, and he's going to have more availability coaching the defensive backs this year. So hopefully that will bring positivity to the production back there. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But there's a lot of changes and moving around back there, and that was only during the spring. So a lot of things also usually change in the fall too. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I do think that secondary is something that has to excel well, because Florida State is used to having guys defend well back there.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Florida State Seminoles live each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We've got 43 on the line right now. We appreciate your support. Swamp McGee in particular, thank you so much for the contribution to the channel. And I remind people that if we bring any value, just match the value, and we would love to take this full time. So I've got all sorts of people all the time saying, why don't you do a Clemson live or an LSU live or this or that? If you continue to contribute and help us here, we will get to those platforms at some point, but we deliver content on college football each and every day. I would argue as much or more than anyone, about 150 videos per month. We've got about 75 or 80 position previews out there. I'm going to be reeling these two in, and maybe Big Game James to do Florida State position previews that are going to be separate videos beyond the live stuff. Let's hit a few things here. Jason had brought this up before we started to record. Donnell Harris, defensive end, a 5-star one-time Miami commit, has decommitted from your chief rival. You guys, your thoughts about the possibility of him coming into the fold?
I think it has the potential to be huge, and we wrote about it this weekend on ShopChat.com. That FSU almost needs Harris to commit to being a member of the 2020 class. As number one, for his position, the fact that he is a phenomenal defensive end. He's from down here in South Florida, from Miami Booker T. Washington High School. If they can get him in, you get a stud player who, you look at the videos online, just the way he's already been at camps in Tallahassee, working with Odell Higgins, working with the coaches and whatnot. So I think, in addition to both, giving a little, your number one salute to UM for you lose, your longtime recruit, a 5-star recruit from your hometown, it's also a big move for FSU. Now, obviously, things can change. He can go back to Miami. He's being recruited by other schools, schools you may have heard of before. I think one's Alabama, one's Georgia. I don't know if you've heard much about their football teams, but they're pretty good. So FSU's going to go up against a few big names and whatnot. But if FSU can land him, the big thing from a lot of FSU fans is that he decommitted after visiting Tallahassee last weekend. Obviously, I don't want to be the pessimist in the room, but he'd also visited Tuscaloosa, so who knows if Alabama played a role in it. But, we'll go with the positive now. Come on, FSU, let's get him.
Yeah, no, you said everything right, and I think also flipping someone from Miami is a nice little bump there for fans, and of course recruiting overall for Willie Taggart and company there. That's a huge deal if they're able to do it. Definitely for a stud player at defensive end, and someone or in a team that needs defensive ends for this class. So we'll see. And Odell Higgins is a phenomenal coach, and will go down in history as one of the best at Florida State. Mr. 2-0. So we'll
undefeated.
Yep, undefeated man. And it seemed like if it was because of the visit at Tallahassee, then you put all your chips in for him to go to Florida State. But like Jason said, there was a few other schools that he's been recently visiting. And that one in Tuscaloosa is a pretty good one. So we will see. And Miami seems to have a decommitment every week. So this is nothing too new coming out in that kind of conversation either. So we got to definitely keep an eye on it. But stud guy, and has a lot of potential. Very fast and twitchy, and that's what you like to see. Kind of like he's quick, kind of like Brian Burns a little bit. I haven't watched a lot of film on him, but I watched him a couple of times, and interested to see if Odell Higgins, Barnett, and Taggart can reel him in, and also some stud recruiting with who am I thinking coaching wise? Raymond Woody. He's been on a roll right now for Florida State, so we'll see if they can get it done. It's always nice to grab somebody, a guy that decommitted from Miami.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, bringing you Florida State Seminoles live each and every week. This is our 4th edition, so I know that you guys are behind Miami in this aspect. So I'm going to give you some leeway here. We got, let's see, 52 on the line right now, and about 2,000 will watch, hopefully more this week, but it's been about 2,000 video watches for the first 3 weeks. So we will go on with Miami at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We usually peak around 170 online. Sometimes we've gotten as high as like 350 or 360, and about 6,000 will watch. So that's something to shoot for. Surpass Miami, help out the channel. Let all your Florida State friends, family, social media acquaintances know that we're here each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And certainly to check out Noel Game Day with Logan Robinson and the rest of the staff, Jason Parker and Chop Chat, and what they deliver on a daily basis covering Florida State athletics as well.
You can tell Miami fans they have plenty of time to watch your stuff, since their baseball team's not playing for a national title this year, so they got plenty of time.
Oh man,
Shots fired.
That goes for UF too.
Yeah,
which is shocking the way that their season has gone in baseball. But I know we got to get back to football. We don't want to, but I know the only thing that we can argue right now, which I would have never thought, is baseball, and basketball too.
The basketball has been good.
I didn't mean to take a shot at your Warriors. I'm sorry. The 0-100, it worked out. I apologize.
I enjoyed the NBA.
Oh, it was right there for the taking.
I'll let it happen. It's all right. It's tough. My fingers are starting to hurt with all these rings on it,
Oh.
No problem.
Two other assignments for everybody out there. 2 assignments. One would be grab the Amazon link in the description section below. You do your regular Amazon shopping. You don't have to buy anything special. Ignore the product. Just enter Amazon using that link. You help out the channel doing that. And go to the Voice of College Football community. Again, the link's right below this video. Once it posts, join the Voice of College Football community. And what could be better than this? 2 live streams, exclusive live streams each and every week. One, I respond to your viewer comments directly, which we're superseding 40,000 at this point. I don't even know where it is. Last time I checked, it was 36,000, but that was several weeks ago. So we're way past that. So I respond to your viewer comments directly. And then in the other exclusive live stream, I bring you on to talk college football directly with me. How could it be any better than that, guys? All right.
That's a good sale.
We will do our best. So, Florida State football talk each Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. This is good stuff. See if you guys will enjoy this idea that hit me yesterday. This is going to be a lot of overhead to maintain, but I am releasing a video every couple days in which I'm going to run down all the Power 5 games week by week. We did week 0 and week 1. I just released that this morning. Basically, I'm running down all the key group of 5 games, all the Power 5 games, and I'm taking a vote on who will win each game. Okay. Therefore, we will have a composite standings built throughout the season based on the viewer votes, and it'll tell us who's going to win each conference, what the standings are going to be, who's going to go to the conference championship games, then who's going to win those, and then we'll select our college football playoff. Those won't be my predictions, but that will be the viewer vote total predictions for the 2019 season.
Okay, I like that idea. I like that.
And I guess it's going to have to wait another week. We'll dive into our ACC coaches rankings. Are we going to be set for that? I know Jason's ready for that, and I believe I am as well. We can dive into that next week with our ACC coaches rankings.
I think
Kendall Briles. Yes, Jason.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. I think that was me.
Sorry.
I think I was just remembering today that I saw an article from somebody saying that Willie Taggart was ranked the worst coach in the
I believe that was ChopChat.com.
Oh, was that you?
I believe that was us.
Man.
Another website ranked him as the worst returning coach in the ACC.
Okay, that was a report that you posted. Okay, I was making sure. I knew that couldn't have been from you.
Oh, you read it, Logan. Thank you.
But hey, it's good content to post out. It starts engagement.
There was another website that ranked him as the worst returning coach. Ranked him only ahead of Jeff Collins from Georgia Tech and Manny Diaz from Miami. To me, that's insane. And we can do rankings later. I'm sorry. Losing season, but you're going to rank him number one. You're going to rank Mac Brown ahead of him, former Nole. But I'm sorry, you're going to rank Mac Brown ahead of him. You're going to rank the new coach at Louisville, and they're arguing, he had a good job at Appalachian State. Okay, congratulations. Appalachian State is not. It's not a Power 5 school. I'm sorry. Oh, we beat Michigan. Okay, congratulations. You blocked a kick. Mazel tov.
Wait, so hold up.
Jason, we're gonna have some fun next week because I'm ready to jump on these comments, but I want to save it for next week. Logan, say whatever you need to.
Yeah, I'll just end it off so we can bring this up next week. But so they were ranking coaches that haven't coached at that school. All right, who gives a flying? You know what? What's his name has been at North Carolina before, but they're ranking coaches before they even have their first season at those colleges.
It was ranking the coaches in the ACC entering the 2019 season, and he was ranked 12th out of the 14 coaches, which put him last among the 10 returning coaches from last year, because there's 4 new coaches obviously in the ACC this year. Mm-hmm. And their argument was, what got me was that if you read it, and I'm not going to put them on blast which website it is. You can go to chopchat.com and read it. But their argument was essentially you're giving all these other coaches credit for what they've done at other places, and then you're going to completely put it on Willie Taggart for what has just happened at FSU.
Yeah, what he was left with.
Right. So that's the problem that I also get. That goes back to the hypocrisy of what Willie Taggart has had to deal with since coming into Tallahassee. Willie Taggart is never going to get the credit that he deserves for when things do turn around in Tallahassee, and it sucks. There's no other word. It sucks for him because he's going to constantly be held to a different standard. And why? I mean, you do the math on that one.
Yeah, it's just off-season content. Yeah,
I think Jason and I are going to disagree on a philosophy in regards to ranking coaches next week. It should be interesting.
I'll make sure to bring my bucket of popcorn.
Oh, shots are going to be fired. Here we go.
I've got pages and pages of notes here on ACC coaches that I did this like 3 or 4 months ago, and I almost forgot about it. So I'm already prepared.
I've got a list.
My old video.
I've got a list. I wrote it in my left hand. Just wrote down, got everything wrong. So, yeah, let's bring it.
And I don't have anything. So there's my.
So for everybody out there on the live chat, we appreciate your participation, and we've got so many topics that were thrown out there. That all means that you just need to come back next week and join us for Florida State Seminoles Live here at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We've got Jason Parker on the line from Chop Chat, so check out his work. Anything in particular you're working on right now, Jason?
Honestly, we're keeping up with the FSU baseball team. First pitch is looks like about 30 seconds or so away. So we're just keeping up with baseball. NBA draft tomorrow. How many Noles will get taken? Probably 2. I'd say Terrence Mann probably go in the second round. Captain Gelly will go in the first round. So we'll be keeping up on that and just keeping you counting down the days till football season. We're almost 2 months away. Thank you, God.
What you got going on, Logan?
Well, like Jason said, it's all about baseball right now. I think this was our first year really put in a lot of effort for baseball, and we kind of want that to kind of be known where it's going to continue throughout the year. So right now, baseball fully, and then once the season ends, hopefully not anytime soon, we'll be focusing on getting some football content out. A lot of series pieces we have planned. And then a lot of podcasts to kind of give y'all some entertainment, at least throughout the next month or so, before we really start kicking into gears with some true football content. Because right now you're just kind of thinking and trying to figure out some things that might be interesting. And then maybe we'll just throw out some more uniform stuff, because that's all you need really for a week's piece.
Let's tell the fans. Logan put this in our Twitter. We have a group Twitter follow. Logan threw this idea out here, knowing it was going to cause World War III amongst the world, and that the Twitterverse is going to explode in the next week until we continue. So just thank you, Logan.
No problem. And then I about missed it too. I was 10 minutes late to it. I was gonna be perfect. I was gonna miss it all. I don't have to be blamed for any of it. It would have been on you.
You're like, what happened here?
Well, I'm glad I made it on.
We need to do a full uniform show. Nothing else needs to be discussed. Nothing else will be allowed to be discussed except uniforms.
There we go.
And our guy, Rob Krause, boy, he's got the specifics down to a T in regards to the way he wants that look to hit the field in week 1.
That's him and hundreds of people too.
As is the case with not just this live stream, but every live stream we do here, we always have the most people watching when we are about to wrap it up. So that means everybody needs to lock it in at 7 o'clock every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to be right here. All you need to do, you've missed a ton of topics, is just let the video post. That will take just a few minutes, and watch it from the start. Logan, Jason, we appreciate you each and every week delivering Florida State football talk like nobody else. We appreciate it. We'll be back for everyone next week. We will get to our ACC coaches rankings. Where will Willie Taggart be on my list? Jason,
I think I might have him a little
Logan,
than you, but maybe. Maybe. He may be
right, guys, enjoy the baseball game tonight.
Yes, K-time, baby, K-time.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having us, bud.
Yes, thank you. Have a good evening.
We will be talking Miami football here in just a few minutes. So not on this feed. We will shut this down. Keep it locked in right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Your YouTube page will switch to Miami. There will be a new link in just a few minutes, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So stay tuned for that. Ohio State football talk at 9 o'clock as well. See you in a few minutes.